In my last video about Ananta, a comment caught my attention, and I was actually genuinely surprised that I never caught on to this, but apparently, at least the belief is, that Ananta actually teased the release date of the game in the announcement trailer that they did. I never saw this, so I was honestly genuinely very confused, but I decided to look into it. So in this video, let's talk about Ananta's proposed release date. Is it true or is it not true? What platforms will it be coming to? Will it be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2? And a few other things. So with that said, let's get into the video. Hey, what is up guys? It's Mordant. So let's start off by talking about the proposed release date or the rumored release date of Ananta. So in the game announcement trailer that Ananta dropped about a month ago, around the 1 minute 55 to 1 minute 56 minute mark, you will see this scene over here. And in this scene, we see Bansi playing with a cat. And the cat has a ticket in its mouth. That ticket has a date on it. The date on the ticket is 2020X 07OX, and a lot of people seem to think that this might be them teasing the release date of the game, and some people believe that this is saying that the game is going to release on July of 2025. We don't have a particular day, but then going by the date format here, it's going to be from the 1st to the 9th day of July 2025, if this rumor is to be believed. So before I actually get into whether or not it's true, let's talk about why exactly people think that this date actually means 2025 and not 2020 something else. Now, if you don't know, any game that releases in China must get a license, and that license comes from the NPPA. If you don't get this license, you cannot legally release a game in China. And you have to go through a bunch of tests, you have to check a bunch of things in order to verify that your game is actually up to par and it doesn't violate their laws and all of those things. And then after you get that license, you will then have exactly 1 year from the day that you get that license to launch that game. So the question now is, does Ananta actually have that license? I personally didn't know this at the time, but yes, they do in fact have this license. They got the license on the 23rd of December 2024, and I'll link it down below for you guys so you can check it out by yourselves. The NPPA page is in Chinese, so you will have to translate it, but if you are actually unable to translate it, Ananta is number 102 on the list, and you can see it right there. 23rd December 2024, that was when it got its license. So that means that Ananta has exactly 1 year, so they have to release on or before the 23rd of December 2025. So with this little bit of context, you can now understand why when people saw this date on the ticket, they immediately thought that Ananta was actually teasing the release date of the game. And if you add in the context that at the beginning of the year, in January, they wanted to actually release a beta for the world to test, but then they went back and actually turned it into an offline test. And then if we go from January all the way to July, that's about 6 months worth of time to work on anything that anybody will report that will be a problem in the beta that they would have done in January. So you can start to understand why a lot of people think that this date is actually the release date of Ananta. And here's the thing, it could be the release date of Ananta, but I personally don't think that it is. And my main reason why is simple. Most of these games, before they launch, have to do a test. Now, this isn't mandatory, okay, but it's been common practice in most of these Chinese games to release a beta that everybody can actually try. And after that test, then they now decide to actually release the game, okay? But we haven't actually gotten that test. Now, yes, you could argue that the test in January was probably that, but I don't think so, because that test was an offline-only test in a controlled environment. The company needs to release the game for more people with more diverse hardware to actually try out and then report any problems that they have so that they can actually work on it. And this is very, very important because, like I already mentioned in my previous video, Ananta is competing with both Wang Yue and NTE, and if Ananta fumbles its launch, if it's having issues or it can't run on people's devices or anything, Ananta is probably going to die immediately, and everyone else is going to be looking forward to NTE and Wang Yue. So because of this, it is very, very important that they do not fumble the release.
And the best way to make sure that they don't fumble that release, especially with compatibility issues or anything like that, is to do a beta test that a larger majority of people around the world in an uncontrolled environment can actually participate in. But that's also the thing. If they do a test and the test is not that good, it's also going to kill the hype of the game a little bit. Not completely, but it will deal a massive blow to them. So I can understand why they came to the decision of letting the game cook some more. That's totally fine in my very honest opinion. Now, if we come back to what I was talking about this date not actually being the release date, I already just talked about my reasoning. They haven't done a beta test. So there is a very strong likelihood that this date could actually be the release date of the next beta of the game. Not the full launch of the game, but the next beta of the game. Now, I don't like this theory because of one main reason. The offline test that they did was on January, and then if they decide to host the CBT like 6 months later, that gives them another 6 months, and I personally would not want them to do that. I would like them to release the beta earlier so that they have a little bit more time to actually work on the game. But I am not a game dev. I don't know all of the things that go into all of these things. So they could probably be fine if they decide to release the beta on July and have all of that time to themselves to work up to December. But remember that GTA 6 is going to be launching sometime during the ending of the year. And if that's the case, depending on how exactly they want the game to release, if they wanted to release before GTA 6, then they'll probably not have enough time from that July all the way to the time when the game is supposed to launch. But if they decide to release after GTA 6, then they'll probably have a little bit more time. But personally speaking, I don't expect them to launch the game after GTA 6. I expect it before GTA 6. But I don't know for sure, so I'll just stay quiet on that. But that aside, let's talk about the platforms that the game is going to launch on. Now, I got this comment and I was going to make a dedicated video about whether this game can come to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, here's the thing. I already made a video talking about whether Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves could come to the Switch 2. And in that video, I talked about how if the Nintendo Switch 2 is comparable to a PS4's performance, because those are what the rumors were saying, that it's comparable to a PS4's performance, then there is a likelihood that Genshin Impact could come, but not Wuthering Waves. But because it's speculation, I've started to hear that it's comparable to an Xbox Series X. And aside from that, there are a bunch of thoughts. So I want to wait until the specs of the Nintendo Switch 2 are 100% confirmed. But honestly speaking, I don't think it will come to the Nintendo Switch 2, at least based off everything that I've seen right now. This game does not look like a light game. I'm even scared to see how it will run on a mobile phone, to be very honest. But I'm always welcome to be wrong. Having the game on more platforms basically means more money for Naked Rain and NetEase. So I don't think they'll overlook the prospect of possibly launching it on the Switch 2, but it's probably not going to happen. But either way, let's wait and see what happens. And I think that's everything I want to talk about in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. I'll also be making some challenge videos for Wuthering Waves, Genshin Impact, and a few other games that I actually like to cover, including Ananta and NCE. So make sure you stay tuned for those. Also join the hideout on Discord, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, guys.